telling me there are interdimensional matter displacement devices, and that after a predatorial derivative, human species emerged from a dark continent beyond the ice wall and seized control of our lands. You and an intelligence agent used it to escape the timeline.
Exactly. Okay, but I bailed on him. He was going to prosecute me once we'd gotten to the other side. So I took out his legs and left him in that timeline. Soon as I get to the other side, my stomach drops. The facility was full of Pantheons, okay? They had clearly already found the matter displacement device and began seizing control of other timelines. They all look at me, and I'm in a state of shock. I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. And within a second, I just fall back and re-emerge myself into the matter displacement device.
You were just going to go to another timeline.
Exactly. Look, like the agent had said, these devices are interdimensionally connected to any reality, which also has one of them actively running, right? Realizing that that timeline had already been infiltrated by the Pantheons, I figured I would just take my chances on another timeline before they got their hands on me. And so moments later, I emerge once again into another reality. This time, luckily, I just see a facility with regular people, but their eyes are in a total state of shock as I step through the device. I'm in a room full of intelligence agents, and they're starting to almost freak out. They get to talking to each other, saying things like, "What have we done?" And one of them quickly says to me, "Sir, don't move. Who the hell are you?" And I'm kind of panicking as well, but I try to de-escalate the situation. I just say, "Listen to me. You people need to turn that machine off immediately." The senior agent says to me, "Turn it off? We just turned it on." I say, "Listen, I understand that, but listen, right? I am from an alternate timeline, okay? These devices are connected to a hive mind. Any reality that also has one of these systems running is able to pass through." And they're all kind of just looking at me with confused expressions. The senior agent goes, "Is that a threat?" I say to him, like, "Listen, you don't understand the gravity of what's going on. A rogue species has gained access to these devices, a species from my timeline, from lands beyond the ice wall. And they are infiltrating other timelines, okay? They could walk through at any second." And at that point, his expression kind of shifts. He says to me, "Beyond the ice wall? What the hell do you know about Zone 7? And as I say to him, "Buddy, I've been there." He slams a lever forward and turns off the matter displacement device and says, "Come with me." I'm walking with him going, "Look, where are you taking me, right?" And he says, "This agency has been lying to him for far too long." He says, "I'm going to Zone 7 and you're coming with me." I say to him, like, "Look, I don't know if we should do that, okay? The things that lie beyond the ice wall, or Zone 7 as you know it, are literally what had gotten us into this mess to begin with, right? The beings on those outer lands are not something we should interact with in this timeline if they hadn't been already." And he's just saying to me like, "Oh, you don't get it, okay? They've been keeping this information classified for eternity. That he'd spent the better part of his career trying to get clearance into Zone 7 and still never has." And basically it becomes clear to me that, this guy was kind of like me. Okay, he was obsessed with knowing what was beyond, and I couldn't really blame him, but he basically just forces me into it. I tell him, "Look, I'll go to the outer lands with you, okay? I'll go to Zone 7, but whatever you do, we cannot land on the Dark Continent." I say, as far as we know, this timeline is safe. Okay, the people on those dark lands can compromise the integrity of our entire reality if we make contact. He says to me, "We won't make contact." He goes, "I've just got to see it for myself." And deja vu, right? I'm with this agent in a classified aerial vehicle flying straight through Antarctica, straight over the ice wall. He can't believe it, okay? He's in utter shock. I'm praying the guy doesn't pass out on me. And I tell him, "Look, stay calm. Navigation equipment's going to fail any second. Just stay due south and we'll get there. We'll get to the Darklands." Look, I get to talking with him about why he took up such an interest in all this stuff, and this is where things take a pretty diabolical twist. He says to me, he goes, "Oh, well, we've got bases all over Zone 7. He's referring to the outer lands as Zone 7, right? He goes, "We've had these bases in Zone 7 since the dawn of the agency, yet nobody in any of our departments had ever gotten clearance to see them." I'm thinking like, that's strange, but I wouldn't put it past the government, right? Of course they'd have bases out there. I mean, they're the ones gatekeeping, right? He goes, "But once I started doing some digging and realized that Operation Stargate was being controlled from an undocumented chain of command in Zone 7, I really knew something strange was going on."
Operation Stargate meaning?
The matter displacement technology, the devices that synchronize to each other from alternate timelines once they're running.
Okay, right.
And I'm thinking that's strange. Like, why would they be commanding that operation from beyond the ice wall, right? I mean, maybe compartmentalization. But that's just strange nonetheless. I say to him, "Look, where exactly are these bases?" He goes, "Listen, I've never been to Zone 7. And as he pulls out a map of Zone 7 with every base marked down, he says to me, "Why don't you tell me?" And at that point, I'm just in disbelief, right? He's got this map of the entire unknown world that he clearly wasn't supposed to have. But with my jaw to the floor, I point at the uppermost part of it and say to him, why the hell is there a government base inside of the Dark Continent? And as he thrusts the jet forward, he says back to me, we're about to find out. At this point, we were well off into the region of the Darklands, no sunlight, and I say to him, look, you don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. The people of Panthea are dangerous. They're like a neurological weapon. If our government has come into contact with them, we've already bent to their will. And so he says to me, listen, you know the map better than me. Where is the base? And I can kind of tell the area on the map of which I'd landed on this continent the first time. The base was roughly 20 more miles south. And so I tell him, look, start dropping your altitude. We'll see the base in no time. And buddy, look, the things we'd found out moments later. I mean, I could have never imagined. As soon as we land and get out, the agent I'm with recognizes a higher up who was approaching us. And he says to him, he goes, Jimmy, you know about this place? And he's just got a look of disappointment. Jimmy says back, he goes, this is way above your pay grade, Middleton. You know you shouldn't be here. I cut them off at this point and say to the higher up, listen, this timeline is obviously beyond compromised. Like, what are you doing here? Let's leave. Right? Let's use the matter transmission device to find a timeline where the Pantheans don't exist at all. And he just looks back at me like almost feeling sorry for me. And he says to me, they are in every timeline. There's no outsmarting the Pantheans. They're omnicognitive.
Omnicognitive?
The species can naturally communicate with each other interdimensionally in every timeline. There is no reality that's safe. They knew the Stargate was the only way for them to congregate across timelines, but they couldn't create it by themselves. Not without solar energy, not without sunlight. Operation Stargate wasn't created by us. It was created through us, by them.